Let's talk about a New York City neighborhood with a name you just don't forget: Hell's Kitchen. I mean, it just sounds tough, right? It brings up these images of grit, gangsters, and a history that's as real as it gets. But is that the whole picture? Well, today we're going to peel back the layers and see what's really cooking in one of New York's most famous neighborhoods. It's the first thing on everyone's mind, isn't it? A name like Hell's Kitchen, well, it doesn't happen by accident. You have to earn a name like that. It's born from stories, from history, and maybe, just maybe, a little bit of legend. Let's start with the most famous story of them all. This is the classic. The story goes that a veteran cop, Dutch Fred, was with his rookie partner during a riot. The rookie says something like, "This place is hell," and Dutch Fred just looks at him and says, "Hell's a mild climate. This is Hell's Kitchen." Now, who knows if it really happened that way? But honestly, who cares? The line was just too perfect. It stuck, and it defined the neighborhood for 100 years. So let's really dig into this legendary name. But first things first, let's get our bearings and figure out exactly where in New York we're talking about. Okay, so where are we? We're on the west side of Midtown Manhattan. And it's a big chunk of it, too, stretching all the way from 34th Street up to 59th Street and from 8th Avenue over to the Hudson River. What's kind of wild is that it's literally next door to the chaos of Times Square, but for its entire history, it's had this totally separate, much grittier personality. And this is where it gets interesting, because the neighborhood kind of has this split personality. Officially, you might see it called Clinton. Real estate developers tried to rebrand it, soften the image. But if you ask anyone who actually lives there, anyone who knows its story, it's Hell's Kitchen, period. That name means something. So what's the real origin story? Well, the truth is, nobody is 100% sure. Some say it started with a comment from Davy Crockett about a totally different slum. Others say it was named after a single, really rough tenement building. There's even a theory it was just a misheard sign for a German restaurant. The fact that we don't know for sure, well, that's just part of the mystique, isn't it? But here's the thing. No matter which story you believe, that name was earned. It didn't come from nowhere. So let's dive into the history that really forged this neighborhood's tough-as-nails reputation. When you picture old-school New York, this is probably the image in your head, right? These brick tenements with their iconic fire escapes. These aren't just buildings, they're storytellers. They tell the story of the working-class families who came here and built this neighborhood from nothing, a story of pure struggle and survival. And that reputation was built over a long time. It really starts back in the mid-1800s, with immigrants working the dangerous Hudson River docks. By the early 1900s, that poverty gave rise to notorious street gangs like the Gopher Gang. And all of that led up to the 1960s and 70s and the infamous reign of the Irish mob known as the Westies. It wasn't until the 1980s that their power finally started to crumble, right as a brand new chapter for Hell's Kitchen was about to start. But here's the twist. At the very same time Hell's Kitchen was known for being so rough, it was also building a completely different identity, as a home for artists. I mean, just look at this list of people who have called Hell's Kitchen home. It's incredible. You've got Hollywood legends like James Dean, music superstars like Madonna and Alicia Keys, and current A-listers like Timothée Chalamet. So why here? For decades, the reason was simple. The rent was cheap, and you could walk to Broadway. It was the perfect spot for aspiring talent. And right at the heart of this creative scene is the world-famous Actors Studio. This was the place for method acting, the training ground for generations of stars. It wasn't just a school, it was the epicenter of American theater, solidifying the neighborhood's role as Broadway's backyard, the place where the real work got done. And here, you can really see those two sides of the neighborhood living together. The historic brick buildings are still there, but now they're the backdrop for this bustling, modern street life full of energy. It's an amazing contrast. So what is Hell's Kitchen like today? Well, it's become a major destination, especially if you're looking for incredible food and a great night out. If you're hungry today, you head straight to 9th Avenue. It's the culinary spine of the neighborhood. Seriously, you can find anything here. Amazing Thai, authentic Mexican, incredible Ethiopian. It's all there. And every May, the whole street just explodes into this massive international food festival. It's the perfect taste of the neighborhood's culture. And you can't talk about food in Hell's Kitchen without mentioning Restaurant Row. It's this one famous block on West 46th Street, and it's basically a pre-show ritual for theatergoers. It's packed with legendary spots that have been feeding Broadway audiences for decades. It's the perfect bridge between the neighborhood and the theater district. But the story of Hell's Kitchen isn't over. not by a long shot. In fact, it might be going through its most dramatic transformation right now. If you look to the south and west edges of the neighborhood, you just can't miss it. The massive Hudson Yards development has completely changed the skyline. It's this gleaming city within a city, all glass towers and luxury shops, and it's now the next-door neighbor to those old brick tenements. And to give you a sense of the sheer scale here, we're talking about 40 million square feet of new development. It's almost impossible to even picture that much change. All happening right on the doorstep of a neighborhood that was always defined by its more human, low-rise feel. And this is the result. You have these sleek, modern condos with amazing views going up, sometimes right next door to those classic six-story walk-ups. It's a neighborhood of pure contrast, where the past and the future are literally living side by side. So that brings us to the big question, doesn't it? As the skyline keeps changing and the rents keep rising, can Hell's Kitchen hold on to that gritty, artistic, independent soul that made it legendary in the first place? Well, that's the story that's being written right now on the streets of the West Side.